Hello everyone, it's Nadia. So today we're going to talk about a very important question that I see everyone asking about the language learning. The big question, what is it? How do you start learning a language? Well, that's a big question, right? And I see so many people struggling with that. Like, where do you begin? For me, I think the most important thing that you should do when you start learning a language is listening. Listening to that language a lot from the beginning, even though you don't understand. Because I'm not sure if it's the same in your country, if you're from the US, UK, or any country, but I see a lot of the education in school that is more like, okay, let's learn some grammar, let's learn some vocabulary, let's do some exercise, but they don't listen to the language a lot when it's supposed to be the main focus, because a language is basically listening to it a lot because you're communicating with another human, but also talking. And the two parts of the most important language learning process, talking and listening, are not being fulfilled during the school class. So I'm just like very lost about that logic. And it's been the same for me in France. And so I think people forget that when you start a language, the objective is not to understand. Like, you don't know that language. You're not supposed to understand everything that you hear. That's stupid. It's mostly get familiar to that language. Like, it's really building the neurons in your brain that makes you think, oh, I'm recognizing that language now. I can hear the words. I can notice that this is a noun, this is a verb, this is a color, these kind of things, you know? And you do it only by listening to a lot of content, a lot of time. And I think the best way to do this basically is to have different kind of content that you love based on your language, for example, and then do the same in this language. Because when you start listening to the target language, you should be able to start listening the words. Like, basically at the beginning it's all like blah 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 in that language. For example, if you don't know French and you listen to French, it's just like I don't know how to do it for you, but it's just like nonsense. You don't recognize anything. And by listening to that language a lot, you start to recognize the different sounds, the syllables, when the word stops and comes to another one, you know, these kind of things. And you basically build the familiarity of that language. You recognize it even though you don't understand it. That's why many people have the illusion of understanding a language when they watch a Netflix show in Korean, a Korean drama, let's take this. And then they watch it with subtitles and they're like, oh, I understand Korean, I understand Japanese. But then they remove the subtitles and they're like, eh, eh, I recognize the words, but no. And it's basically this. This is why you shouldn't watch content, TV show, whatever, with the subtitles, like in your language. When I mean the subtitles, for example, if you watch it with the target language, let's say a French show with the French subtitles, I think it's fine because it's still the same language. But you still not, it's another type of exercise than listening. So when you watch something with the English subtitle in it, you're not focused on actively listening. You're focused on the show, like the entertainment of it, because your eyes are focused on the meaning of the words in your native language. So you don't really hear what they say, and you have the illusion of understanding, but it's not like the reality. You don't understand anything in the end. So that's why it's very important to only listen to that target language without any translation at first, even though you don't understand, because the goal again is not understanding at the beginning. And for that, I have different methods that I've been doing in my case. For example, currently I'm learning Portuguese, I'm improving it a lot. And for me, what works is basically listening to a lot of music. I love discovering music, it's so fun for me. Like, you need to make the process fun at the beginning, because the way that you learn in school is basically grammar exercise. Learn a list of vocabulary that you will forget the next day. It's boring. You don't see the connection, you don't see anything. But when you listen to music, you enjoy it, you have fun, you can dance, you can try to sing it. Like, that's great, you know? And then when you watch a show, you will be surprised at how much you understand, especially if it's a show that you already watched before. For example, one of my favorite things is basically watch a Disney movie or any kind of animation that I love in the language that I watched it before, that I understand fully, and then watch it in Portuguese in my case. And I understand so much more because I already know the movie. So, from the context as well, the situation that you see, with the movement of the characters, what are they doing, these kind of things, you understand a lot and you connect the word that you hear to what they're doing. So, it's even better for you to listen that way, because you will create new connection in your brain for that language. And so yeah, one of my favorites is doing that. Then I created a specific YouTube account only for language learning, so it doesn't mess up with my algorithm with my normal account, because most of my normal account is basically content in French or in English or Spanish, because I already have that language in my brain, you know. But for my learning in Portuguese, I have another YouTube account where I'm searching content about what I love, for example, jiu-jitsu, sports, philosophy, and I'm listening to this content in Portuguese. Like, it's basically the Brazil YouTube, Brazilian YouTube, and I love it. It's so much more fun. And it's great because many content creator in Brazil, they put directly the subtitles in it in Portuguese. So it's awesome. And then the last option as well, that I think by far the best, is listening to podcasts as well, because with the podcast you don't have the visual stimulation, so you only have to listen to it all the time, and you must focus on how it sounds. So a really great way is basically to listen a lot, a lot, a lot. And for example, if you want to do it a bit more actively, you need to pronounce the word. For example, you listen, you stop, and you try to pronounce it. It's very important that you understand how the pronunciation is done in that language, because for example, let's say English and French are very different in pronunciation, and it's very horrible when an English person tries to speak French with an English accent. Like, having an accent and having the wrong pronunciation is completely different. For example, when I speak English, you hear a French accent, but I do my best to try pronouncing the English words like the American way, because I learned the American English, you know? And it's very important that you do the same, because you can mess up really bad and you're not really taken seriously if you don't make any effort in that language. So you need to build the muscle in your mouth for that different pronunciation. And if the sound doesn't exist in English, you need to learn how to make it in that language. So yeah, that's it for today. That's how you start learning a language. You basically listen a lot. And yeah, that's it for today. If you have any question, you can put it below in the comments and I will make a video about it. But that's good. Bye.